Good morning. Yesterday, President Trump announced a new policy for Afghanistan. I'm amazed. 17 years have passed, and Afghanistan, a country of fiercely independent Afghans, Pashtuns, and other tribes, is still ravaged by war. 16 years back, the tragedy started, and every year, USA has been fighting the war. But there has been no change in the policy. It's the same war being repeated every time. 16 years and $6 trillion have been spent. Imagine, $6 trillion in 16 years wasted along with the waste of the human life. That is the tragedy of Pakistan. Now let's consider what Afghanistan is. It's a country which is extremely geopolitically important. At the crux, under the shadows of the Hindu Kush mountains, it has boundaries with Uzbekistan, with Russia, with China, with Pakistan, with Iran, and so on. So it's a very crucial country. It's a mineral-rich country. It has got very rare minerals, very costly minerals. And as a matter of fact, at the initial rendering, it was thought to have 200 billion worth of minerals. But it's a poor country. A rich country inhabited by the very poor country. But very independent people, very hardworking, very honest people. And Afghanistan has a history of being independent. The dreams of British Empire were humbled by the Afghans in 3 wars. Soviet Russia, one of the world powers, was defeated badly. It bruised Russia. And as I said, 16 years, USA, which considers itself to be the superpower, has not been able to subdue. If I look at the history of Afghanistan, only once was Afghan really defeated and became a part of another empire. It was the Sikh rule of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who sent his armies under General Nalwa, Hari Singh Nalwa, and they conquered Afghanistan. And the ferocity and the care and love, both combined, made them accept the suzerainty of Lahore Darbar. But as soon as the British took over Punjab, they became independent. And then, despite 3 wars, British Empire could not defeat Afghanistan. The empire on which the sun doesn't set was defeated and humbled by Afghans. So with that background, with that tradition of being independent, how is it possible that USA would be able to subdue them? But the policies enunciated yesterday are much better. For the first time, the White House has admitted that they do not want to change the way they govern themselves. For the first time, they have admitted they have no desire to make people live the way they want them to live. Till now, all the time US have been saying, let's make them democratic. But Trump admitted that this plea of making them democratic is specious, is wrong, and is unacceptable. And since you want to impose your thoughts on them, Afghans or any other nation would do, rebelled against it. And that was the death knell of American adventurism in Afghanistan. It's a weary war. 17 years you keep on fighting. Spend 6 trillion. That is half the national debt of USA. So what do we do? If they leave Afghanistan as it is, it will degenerate into hotbed of intestine war, butchery, and Taliban and ISIS will come and take over. Let's not forget, ISIS plans to make Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India one province of their worldwide empire to be called Khorasan. And that would happen much too quickly if USA and its allies leave immediately. But at the same time, you cannot keep on occupying that land. You cannot keep on fighting their fight for them. As we say, we don't want them to change their way of living. We have no business. I mean, USA and its allies have no business trying to let them know what they want. And the acceptance of the fact that it's for the Afghans to do the things, and they will help them economically, militarily as long as possible, and politically. So, if you remember, there are 29 terror groups in Pakistan and Afghanistan. 29 terror groups. They are offshoots of Taliban, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and name it what they want. So those terror groups will become very vocal and very powerful. And that is why Trump cannot leave Afghanistan. But one thing very sensible, he has divested the White House from the decision making. No micromanaging from White House. It's for the local commander to decide what to do, when to act, where to act. And this lack of micromanaging, which was rampant under Obama and under Bush, would enable the commanders to take stock of the ground realities and act accordingly. So this is a major change. So first major change is that they are not going to inform where to attack. Second major change is no micromanaging. Third is identification of 29 terror groups. And then Pakistan came in for a lot of criticism by Trump. He stopped all aid to Pakistan for this purpose and called upon India to be a strategic partner. Now, geopolitically, this is a big win for India. When India becomes strategic partner, India and Afghanistan already have very close relationship. India is building bridges and roads over there. So, Trump also wants India to continue that effort towards infrastructure building and aid and assist Afghanistan in its economic recovery. So, this would further dampen the adventure spirits in Pakistan Army, because in case they decide to play hooky, then USA is there to support India. And this is an excellent thing to happen. The main purpose of the new policy is that the safe havens, whether they are in Pakistan or whether they are in Afghanistan, must be eradicated. The 29 terror groups are protected by Pakistan and its rogue army, basically. You remember even Osama bin Laden was all the time in Pakistan, and USA was hunting for Osama all over the world. So, Trump has very clearly enunciated that this sort of adventurism by Pakistan will not be tolerated any longer. And one thing more, The new policy does not say whether there will be a surge or not. They are sending some soldiers. How many? They are not clarified. At least not the president. Others are saying a lot. But President Trump himself did not say anything. It is unlike Obama. Obama has created a surge and the soldiers came up to 90,000. At one time, 90,000 soldiers were fighting in Afghanistan. So that has to be done. Secondly, the strategy would be more unrestrained. He clearly said we were going to kill the terrorists. So the stress on the human rights, which was there, would be reduced. There was a time when the American soldiers used to say that we have been sent to fight the army, but our hands are tied behind our back. Now they have got full freedom to do what they think proper. And the purpose is to defeat the army and come back. So, the main thing is retribution. Now, this is a new policy. Till now, the retribution was not there. As a matter of fact, the purpose was to see that the US Army acts and helps, but there is no retribution. Now there will be retribution. That means life for life, bullet for bullet, limb for limb. Now this retribution always causes fear because they know that they will not be safe. Undeniably, American army is one of the best armies. That nobody can deny. They have been defeated in Vietnam. They have been defeated in Korea. And now they have been defeated here. But it's not the defeat of the American army, it's the defeat of the political policies. One thing which I wanted Trump to say was very clear. He accepted it. That US has to get over that thought that it can be a nation builder. And when Trump said that they are not going to rebuild the nation, that was a welcome news. Every nation, every country has its own ethos. And imposition of an ethos which is alien to that country is crippling and detestable. I will not like to be coerced by an outsider to change my way of living or way of thought. And then why should a nation of fiercely independent Afghans be forced to submit to the idiocies of the West? Whether they are idiocies or not is something different. But for them, they are the idiocies. So this acceptance of the fact that the nation building concept is a time-worn concept and has no stay and no purpose and no support. So this has been accepted by Trump and I do appreciate it. One thing more, he has brought out a new doctrine. I like to call it the Trump doctrine. This is political realism. Know that hangover of colonial power. Know that halo of assumed morality and high priestly attitude. I am better than thou art. That, in fact, will endear Americans, the Yankees, to the Afghanis. Man to man, if you treat those people at the same level, they can accept you. They accepted Maharaja Ranjit, defeat at the hand of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, because their way of thinking was not changed. Their way of living was respected. And that is why, in the history of Afghanistan, although Great Britain failed to subdue them, although Russia failed to subdue them, Although America failed to subdue them, the Sikh Raj, the Khalsa Darbar in Lahore, could win over Afghanistan because they accepted their way of living. They accepted the fact that politically Lahore Darbar may rule them, but otherwise their day-to-day life should not be affected. And they were treated with kindness, with generosity. A common person doesn't care whether you are building an industry or not. He is more concerned with the fact that his day-to-day living is not affected. And Trump's new policy indicates that it would happen that way. Another thing which Trump did not enunciate, but I foresee it happening, since Trump has taken India as a strategic partner, now India, USA and Afghanistan can form a group to exploit the mineral wealth of Afghanistan for the good of Afghanistan. And this country with $200 billion worth of wealth hidden below the ground can become, in that part of the world, a power by itself, a respectable member of the society, which it has always been, except for the sorry state of affairs. Now, Pakistan has a role to play. It has to come clear and show unequivocally that the 29 terror groups that are operating from the territory of Pakistan shall no longer be permitted to operate with impunity. And the might of Pakistan army, which it is there, shall come in full force on these terror groups. And I would place General Bajwa and the Prime Minister Abbasi, if in a period of 30 days they can announce annihilation of these groups, that would pave the way for Afghanistan peace and peace between Afghanistan, Pakistan and India. The cultural strand which ties these three countries should overcome the political rivalry and make them fight the forces of economic backwardness. Undeniably, India is becoming a superpower, and the acceptance of Trump last night and accepting India as a strategic partner is a major achievement. But I'm happy that US has ultimately realized its folly of building a nation. Nations are not built by the conquerors. Nations are not built by the foreigners. Nations are built by the country and the people living in that country. And that's what's going to happen to Afghanistan. I see Afghanistan becoming, it already is a nation. I perceive it coming as a major nation, plays a major part in the committee of international relations. Thank you.